Welcome to Business Recharged Podcast with your host, the Queen of Content and CEO of the Mac Institute, Dr. Felicia Mack.
So excited about our episode today because we have just some great information coming your way. And we have Michal Stawicki with us. And I'm just going to share a couple of things, but I will tell you that I was super impressed in just getting to learn about his background. But he is known as Mr. Consistency. I love that. He's a best-selling author in the personal development field and a business coach. He is obsessed with changing the world through daily habits, starting with his own habits and his world. In the last decade, he published 19 books. Holy cow, that is amazing. He sold over, get this, guys, 84,000 copies of them. He created dozens of new great habits. He coached over 100 people in developing new habits and started a book advertising business and quit his day job as a database administrator. Michal preaches and practices consistent daily action, and he believes this is the means to achieve success in any area of life, from parenting to business. Well, I will tell you, I am a new boy mom of a 12-month-old, and so I can already tell that this is going to be a really exciting episode. So welcome to Business Recharged Pocast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited as well.
Yes, absolutely. So let's just start off. If you can just share, what does it really mean to be consistent?
Really? Well, I would say, because we often judge ourselves by intention and other by actions. So if other look at you and tell, okay, your actions are consistent, that's really consistency, yeah? Because we can lie to ourselves. Okay, I'm doing my exercises, I'm attending my gym, but I was just 2 times this month, yeah? So we can lie to ourselves very easily, but if other around us tell about us, okay, you are a consistent person, and the same applies to like business marketing. Always people who have the most success, they are saying, okay, be consistent. Like if you post on social media 3 times a week, 2-3 times a week. If you have a blog, well, you cannot post twice a week, post once a week, or twice a month, whatever works for you, but be consistent, because this, like with TV series, yeah, people expect you to show up on a given day at a given time consistently. If not, like the perception of you is disturbed, and well, you are not consistent anymore for them.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And, I feel like consistency is one of those things that we kind of talk about in different ways, but it means something kind of different to everyone, and you have accomplished a lot, my friend. And so I know that you must be one of the most consistent individuals on the planet. So what does that look like from a more practical perspective? Do you write your daily action items? Do you work with to-do lists? How do you really stay consistent?
First of all, I concentrate my life and my work around habits. So whatever I want to do, I try to turn it into a habit. So I have plenty of self-care habits and like self-motivation habits. Like those successful people are talking about, having your personal mission statement, looking at your vision board, and so on and so on. So I just adopted those habits because they recommended them. And this keeps me motivated every day, or reasonable motivated every day. And the same is about my habits. Like I've been a writer for several last years, and I decided to write every day, and hardly I ever miss a day. Only when a few months ago I decided to focus on my advertising business and to build it up and replace myself in the business, I purposefully stopped to be so consistent with my writing. I still write 10,000 words or so a month, but it's not as consistent. When I was writing books, it was every day 600 words, 1,000 words, whatever the quota was. Yeah, and this is how I approach my business, and because you need to figure out what works in your business, what's the basis, and for a writer, writing is a basis. Because if you do not write, then you have nothing to edit, nothing to market, nothing to talk about, and so on and so on. So this is the first step. That's why I decided. And like, I don't like editing. I do it in sports, which is terrible right now. Like just before this interview, I sent my proofreader a bunch of articles, first time in 4 months or something like that. So I like, I'm not consistent, but if you are writing regularly, then you have something to send to a proofreader. So when I finally mastered my motivation to get about this, I had something to wrap up and send her.
Absolutely. Wow. I really like that. One of the things that you said that I think is so important is creating habits, right? Creating habits, and that the most successful people create habits, and how you yourself have created habits, in different areas of your life. It seems like, personally, professionally, self-care related habits as well. How has those habits that, you've created, how does that translate into your business?
Like, this approach helps with everything, as you said, every area of life and in business as well, because if you can, eliminate thinking, decision making, and so on, then even though there always are some emergencies, everything gets easier.
Yes.
Let's go back to writing as example, and my problems with editing. Yeah, so I write regularly. I amass a bunch of material, and then when I finally I'm in mood, I don't need to be in mood for writing, but if I'm in mood for editing, then I can, like, it took me less than an hour while watching TV to prepare 5 articles and set it to my proofreader. Yeah, so
that's impressive.
Like, consistency really helps, and the same with like marketing is very important, because as I said, people start to expect that you will show up regularly in their feed. For example, like, I have my favorite podcasts, and like, I'm looking forward to days of publications because I cannot wait. And the same should be with your marketing, social media material. I keep in touch with my readers via email broadcast, and we decided to do it twice a month. So I'm trying to be every second Thursday to send something to them, update about my life and business and some personal development stuff. Yeah, and this is what you should do, not collect email addresses and then email them once a year when you have something to sell. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work. You're absolutely right. It really is about building that relationship with your audience. And I think that that's something that is so important. And that creates that, that takes habit, that takes being consistent. It's not, a one and done thing. So I really like that. It's for me, I believe that creating habits is absolutely one of the reasons why I've had the success that I've had in my business and also in my life as well. So I absolutely love this conversation that we're having. But I will tell you that for a lot of my clients, people that I coach, especially from a life coaching perspective, it's hard to start a habit. We start habits. It's kind of like the New Year's resolution, right? We start it and then we stop it. You start going to the gym for the first week, and then the next week you're like, oh gosh, I had a piece of pie. I'm not going back to the gym or what have you. So what's the key to actually not quit when you're just starting a new habit?
Well, I think the main reason people quit is because they are too ambitious and they do not really know what does mean developing a habit. It's all about regularity and consistency, not about the activity itself. Because if you are doing 1 push-up or 100 push-ups, the moves are exactly the same. If you will develop the habit of doing this 1 push-up, you can then do 2, 3, 4, 10, 20. And it's so much easier to develop a habit of doing a single push-up. And you are going through the same motion. You need to lie down on the floor, do the push-up, get up, like the same. And you can design the habit. So, okay, I do it first thing in the morning after I visit the toilet, I will do a push-up. And then you develop a habit and then you can scale it up. But we approach it from the goal setting perspective. Okay, I will be super fit. And then you are doing those push-ups and next day you are so sore and resistance kicks in, but you are doing it anyway. The next day you are feeling even worse. And then, like you said, life happens. You are too busy or something, and doing 100 push-ups takes some time. And you quit that one day, and then so I will restart Monday, and like bunch of excuses will kick in. But actually, developing a habit is more about repetition and consistency than anything else. So it's always great if you can scale down your habit to tiny, like BJ Fogg from Stanford University is saying. Super, super easy. Like you can do it when you are sick, when you are traveling, every single day. So, and it can be done with most of the habits. For example, writing. Well, write 1 sentence. That's the easiest it can be. And you can do it like 10 times a day. And habit is developed by repetition. So if you do it 10 times a day, in like specific situations, okay, in your home office, in front of a computer, maybe with special soundtrack in your ears, then the habit will develop much faster than trying to, sit down every morning before everybody wakes up and write for 2 hours. Good luck.
Exactly. Goodness, I know that's been a mistake that I have made for myself. I think for me, I have, great habits when it comes to my business and kind of professional. But then when I will want, for example, I about 3 months ago started training for a 5K. It was an epic fail because I did exactly what you said. I was like, I'm going to go out here. I'm a new mom, by the way. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to run a few miles. And it's like, okay, no, you have just, in mom mode, all of that, you have to really ease your way back in. So it was a lesson learned. So then I started saying, you know what, let me walk 1 time and then let me start speeding up that, doing small steps. And I've actually been able to keep abreast of that. So absolutely. It's like, don't be too ambitious. And for me, I think there's also importance in celebrating the small steps as you're creating that habit. Even if you haven't reached the ultimate goal, still celebrate those small steps as well. So absolutely. So perfect. So you've written a lot of books. What would you say is your favorite that you've written, or do you have a favorite?
Man, it's like asking which kid is favorite. No, I love them all.
I love it. I knew you were going to say that. I was like, oh, that's real. That's like asking someone to pick their favorite child, of the bunch. Absolutely. Yeah. So, we have a lot of authors that listen to Business Recharged, and they're looking to kind of recharge their writing process or recharge, just even becoming an author. What has been, how have you created, I guess the real question I'm asking is, what's been the biggest kind of change for you that allowed you to create the success as an author. So what did that take? Like, what was, if you had to say one thing that kind of led to my ultimate success of being an author, what would that be?
Collaboration.
Mm.
First of all, when I started self-publishing, it was 2013. I started from reading a book by Steve Scott and following his advice to the T. Yeah, so that was like remote collaboration, and the success was moderate, but like I published a book and people were buying it regularly, consistently. So okay, I call it a success, like for the first-time author and especially writing in the foreign language. Good result. Then I joined a Facebook group, start interacting with others, learning from them. Like those interactions will give you feedback. What's good, what's wrong. You can mimic the successful approaches, and also you can learn what you are doing wrong. Like I published mock-up covers for a cover for my new book, and one of my friends was like took pity on me because my aesthetic sense is zero. And I didn't know, like, because if you are blind, everything is black. Yeah, so that's normal for you. And he created, like in Canva, I guess, in 5 minutes, well, 5 per cover, 4 covers for my existing books and this upcoming one. And it really made a change because I was selling like 30 copies a month before that, and then over 100 copies with new covers. Then in the same group, I met a guy who was starting his like publishing business. He wanted to help authors. Yeah. So we work on marketing of my 5th book, and he encouraged me also to collaborate with bloggers, other authors, which we did. And that book became my first bestseller. And always, like, then other collaboration examples like book giveaways with a bunch of other authors and so on. It's really because, especially, you know, as a newbie, you think, okay, being a writer is this lonely thing. You just sit in front of your computer, drink whiskey and write. No, well, it's part of the process. Maybe not the whiskey, but writing for sure. It's part of the process, but you are learning from others, and that accelerates your progress multi-fold.
Oh gosh, I can only, yes, absolutely. So where is your favorite place to write? Do you just write in your home office? Do you go to, you know, coffee shops? Where do you prefer?
It's not really a preference. Right now, I'm mostly writing in my home office because I finally quit my day job and I'm sitting in my home most of the time. When I had been starting, I was working full-time. I had a long commute. I was mostly writing in trains. Like my first 10 books are written in trains.
Wow. I love that. Absolutely love that. You know, we have bloggers, you know, authors, editors that listen to our podcast. And the one question that they ask, I'm an author as well of 3 books, definitely not on your scale as far as the amount. But I think that's just so admirational. But, you know, one of the questions that they ask, which it's interesting because I see this question kind of pop up in our comments over and over. And, you know, they say, well, what does it, you know, they do all the things. They do the marketing, they do, you know, the promotions, they collaborate even sometimes, but they never reach that best-selling mark. What tip would you give the listener, you know, right now that is already an author, but really looking for their next book to be that bestseller? If there is one tip outside of collaboration, what would you say that is?
It's a hard trick to pull out. I would say, like, either you need to have a lot of money or time invested into your book launch, or you just need a dose of luck, but you can help your luck. For example, among my 19 books, about 10 of them were bestsellers at one time or another, and that's the point. Like, not every book was a bestseller, and some of them I wrote. I knew they weren't really for the market, but I wanted to write them, so I wrote them. And market didn't respond very favorable. And well, and the worst thing is when you expect that it will be a bestseller, and then you are so disappointed, which happened to me a couple of times. But not every book will be a bestseller. Like, I'm writing on Quora.com, a great platform for writers, answering questions about different things. I write about personal development there. So I have over 1,000 answers on that platform, but about every 10 gets traction, not every single one. So yes, you do all you can do, but then it's there are market forces, there are your abilities, competition, and you may get a bestseller status or not. Like, you do your best, and your best is all you can do, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And so I know you just recently transitioned, from your having a full-time kind of 9 to 5 and to working for your own. That is absolutely incredible. A lot of individuals listening will be inspired because they inspired to do that as well. But what ultimately made you decide, like, hey, I want to recharge my business and take the leap to leave my full-time position?
It wasn't really what ultimately made me to do it. It was at the very beginning. Like, I didn't like what I was doing, and I was miserable in my day job. Like, it wasn't bad. It was IT, yeah. So, and actually that's my higher education. And so I enjoyed problem solving and some other aspects of my work. But in the end, I felt miserable there. And I also got this realization 10 years ago that, well, if I want to have a lifestyle I really want, well, I need to change something. And yes, there would have been opportunities within the corporate world, but I just wasn't really ready to go there, like to go up the ladder, become a supervisor, director, and so on. Like, the responsibilities are so big and really. Okay, I will give you an example. I worked in big corporation, PwC, and at the end of my work, I was making more in my business, like maybe not twice as more, but more than my director, who had like 60 people under her.
Wow.
Yeah, and her responsibility was just enormous, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I was running my business, which has turnover like well below 100K, and I was making more.
Yeah. Wow. Exactly. Absolutely.
So I didn't want to keep like working in that world. I wanted to start something, like that was the only alternative, start something on my own. And I had no clue. Writing was kind of a dream of mine. And only after being a writer for like 5 years, I finally stumbled about the idea for my business, which is book advertising on Amazon. Because I did that for my own books, and like I noticed it works. That's one. Plenty of people do not know about this, and plenty of people have no desire to learn. So I could help them. So it was a journey, but the decision was at the very beginning.
Wow, I love that. I love that. So we're going to move into kind of what we call our Business Recharged lightning round, where I'm just going to ask you a few questions about how you recharge your business. So what are some of the systems or tools that you use in your business on a day-to-day basis to recharge your business?
Well, I would say business specific for my business. There is a platform, Ritzy.com, which is like a marketplace for authors, freelancers, and service providers on the one side and authors on the other. And I guess they have over 1 million authors there. So it was quite a game changer for me when I got into that platform last year. And like people are coming to me, this service I provide is not so common. So competition is not so high and demand is high. Yeah, so this is really something which worked for me. And I need a lot of time to really make my mind to get there.
Yeah.
And the tipping point was I visited authors conference, 20 books to 50K in Madrid last year. And there was one of the founders of Ritzy. So I and my friends were speaking highly of him and of his platform. So I finally get about, and then like we got requests immediately from the very start, and we are getting requests regularly.
Wow. And so what service do you provide on that platform? Is it the book advertising?
Yes, book advertising, yes.
Awesome. And I know a lot of individuals listening will definitely need that service. So they'll likely be reaching out for sure. Awesome. And so what would you say the last big investment has been that you've made in your business?
Oh, definitely. But did I make the investment? Only the commitment. My employer paid me for a coaching course. And I didn't really expect the transformation I experienced at that course. And like I knew of coaching and I kind of knew what it is, but I really discovered it during the training. And now I'm on the road to be accredited by MCC, ICF. I love doing this. And I'm actually building my book advertising business so it can work without me, so I can take care of coaching because I love it so much. But mostly I get a lot of progress of personal growth from getting coached. And like during the training, we coach each other in practice. And afterwards, I'm bartering with other coaches. And like this is a game changer.
Oh gosh, yes. So I'm a certified coach. I'm a business and a life coach. And I will tell you everything from, because a lot of individuals don't realize, although you don't have to be certified, there's such value in getting that certification. It's a specific way that you ask questions, open-ended questions, and that you really take someone through a process. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, do I really need to be certified? And my answer every time is, well, it's not regulated in that regard that you have to be, but it is absolutely necessary if you really want to position yourself within the industry and do a fantastic job. And that's been my experience. I've definitely, I believe every coach should be coached as well. So I love that.
Amen.
And I enjoy. Do you enjoy one-on-one coaching, or do you think you would enjoy group coaching? What's your fave?
I deeply enjoy one-on-one coaching, and I kind of did some coaching before I got the training. It was a small project in PwC when we worked in several people group on personal development, and I love the process. And I love the experience. So I guess just working with people at the deeper level is what really turns me on.
Absolutely. And so what's the greatest lesson that you've learned as an entrepreneur?
The greatest lesson. There are so many. What's the greatest? if it's about making the impact, yeah, collaboration, definitely. It was like, I got those covers, I got the sales up immediately and was like, oh, there's something here. Then like 2 months later, I published that 5th book and it became a bestseller. Also because I collaborated with Chris, who helped me with marketing, and with those bloggers and other authors who helped me to launch the book. And I was actually on the verge of burnout, because at that time it was almost a year and I made just pennies working for like 14 hours a day, every day.
Wow.
But Sunday. And that success really, really opened my eyes that, okay, I can do so much more if I don't do it everything by myself.
Yes. Game changer. Absolutely. And then my final question, before you share how individuals can contact you and kind of what you have coming up next with your business and, with your brand, one of the things I think that you've shared a lot that's really important is collaboration. How do you find the individuals to actually collaborate with? Like, what's your secret sauce?
My secret sauce is in my book, Making Business Connections That Count. Well, first of all, you decide who you need. Of course, serendipity can happen, and sometimes you are getting the connections you haven't count on. But for example, going back to my 5th book, it was promoted by Steve Scott, and he had tens of thousands of people at his list, and they were all readers. Yeah,
Yes.
so that was very relevant. How I went about this, I stalked him because this what really entrepreneurs are doing in the social media world. And so I joined his Facebook group. I was on his email list. I replied to every call to action. I commented every single blog post of his. So he quickly noticed me, and we quickly get a relationship. And also, this is one of the tips I share in my book, that the best thing you can do for someone you're looking up to is to become this success story. Like, this is what they can brag about. Like, I read his book, published my book. Come on, and then built my author business. So, of course, he wanted to brag about me. Yeah, so that's like the secret sauce. But see what's behind all of this? Consistency. Like, I was relentless in pursuing him and other people I wanted to connect with. And you have no clue how it is important, unless the specific person is really, really huge, like, Brad Pitt, for example. I guess
Right.
he had billions of fans. Yes, so it's hard for him to interact and even notice them. But when kindlepreneur.com started, I was the second person who commented on a blog post. And Dave Chesson, who is owner, recalled me. And when I was visiting States, I was in Nashville and he lives in Franklin nearby. Like, he was open to meet face to face. Yeah. And we met a couple times or 3 times. I don't remember right now, but it was exactly because, first of all, I was like the second person who ever commented his blog. Then I was really commenting every single blog post.
Wow. I love that. I love that. You do. You really, consistency, you have to be relentless in your approach and be connected to why you're doing what you're doing. You embody that. I have absolutely enjoyed this conversation. I will tell you that. Absolutely. So tell everyone, what you have going on, how they can contact you and reach out to you if they're interested in learning more.
So I right now I have like 3 legs of my business. One is writing, type into Google Michal Stawicki, that's how you type my name, and books, and you will find my books on every online store. I do business coaching, helping 5-figure entrepreneurs to scale up to 6 figures, especially solopreneurs who work in the online space. And I have this book advertising business. The best way really to get to know what I'm doing is visiting my website, resurrectingbooks.com. Look around, and if you have book to advertise, you'll figure out how to connect me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again. We'll make sure we have all of your information on our show notes as well, guys, so you can check that out. And I just want to thank you again. So, what's a final thought to leave our audience with before we close our show so that they can truly get recharged?
Okay, I will steal the message of Jim Rohn, which I read in The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, and it really started my whole journey. Success is a few simple disciplines repeated over time. And that's so true. Like, I didn't believe that when I read that. It couldn't be so simple, but then I applied that, implemented that, started building habits in each area of my life. And each and every time that was true. If you consistently do something, you cannot fail. It's like doing a race. Like, if you do a step and the next step and the next step, and you are going in the right direction, you need to cross the finish line. There is no other way.
Absolutely. Consistency creates habits. I love it. Well, perfect. Well, guys, that is all we have for you for today, but we will see you guys back next week, same time and same place. Until then, stay recharged.